Jesus, these dogs, man, this is out of control. I don't see shit. You see something? I don't see nothing. Hola. Oh, it's a dog. Yeah. It's Kimbo. There's a pit bull out here that would tear your ass up. But it's a sweetie pie dog. You guys know that literally everybody in this damn neighborhood, like, they decide whose side to be on. I had the weirdest coffee tonight. Hey. No. Don't you do that. Hello. This is French music. I was actually looking for French horn. I wanted to find some French horn music because, well, I found out my son plays French horn. And I thought that was really special because I actually tricked him a little bit because his mom doesn't know anything about instruments or music or anything, I don't think. And I thought, well, I said, yeah, it's something about woodwind instruments. And he says, it's not a woodwind, it's brass. So I was like, yes. That means that my kid actually is a brass instrument, a French horn player. So that meant that he's alive and this is not, you know what I mean, some AI bullshit that she's catfishing me with. I made that a point. I was like, but I will tell you something. If you come overseas, people are going to try you. And for whatever reason, you know what I mean? And people who, like, I have very distinct personas. And the persona that I have this online persona, which is, of course, I want to bring my storytelling, my best foot forward, because these are all stuff I did as an idiot, as a young person, and I don't want you guys to do the same thing. Pretty simple message, right? But at the same time, I want to see you improve, which is why I want to put you on game as much as possible. So my trip to Puebla, I was on a 8-month survival course, which I didn't have any food, any water, no electricity, and I was living in basically on rainwater and fruit for 8 months. So at the end of that, the 45 days, I had just lost just shit tons of weight. My face was so skinny. I was actually getting scary skinny. And I was invited to a quinceañera. And a quinceañera is when a girl becomes a woman, I guess, in the Latino world. And they have this whole routine where they dance and they sing and they have this whole presentation. And the family, of course, is using, the land. And we have a beautiful pavilion and we set up a big tent. Had a DJ, the whole 9 yards. It was very, very elegant, very nice. Dance floor, lights, LEDs, the whole bit. I had a 360 camera. It was on the whole time. And yeah, it was a great, great time. At the very end, one of the drunk uncles decided that he wanted to try and fight with me. So it was interesting because the whole week I had been teaching all the kids that there's all these kids. There's all like teenagers in high school and they live out in the woods. So there's not like a whole lot of things going on. They don't have very good internet there. And these kids are not out riding horses and four-wheelers and being, country kids. These are like modern, rich Mexican kids that are very, very just stuck up as possible. And they're always criticizing everybody about everything. So it's fun to watch. And so the it was a guy, it was some cousin, and he had literally just gotten out of prison for some shit. So for the entire week, I'm teaching the kids all these self-defense moves, and one of their friends came over that knows how to fight, and so we kind of like did a little sparring match, and I literally, it was less than 30 seconds, so I wrapped him up good. That girl's uncle was next door, and he was there the entire week watching me give these kids lessons in how to do key locks and Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu. And they were all impressed because it's very athletic and it's very, very magical. But it's also very easy when they're not resisting you. And so when the kid came over and, we were just wrestling around and shit, and I literally tapped him out. I don't know how many, like every round that we did, it was like 30 seconds, and he would be snap, gone, out, 30 seconds, out, again, out. So they liked it. They enjoyed watching it. And then, that sort of legitimatized me because they didn't know me for shit. We go to this quinceañera, and this guy who's like ready to fucking cold cock me is like yelling, "He is not one of us. He is not blood related. What is he doing here? He's a grown man at a quinceañera." I'm like, you invited me. You invited me. And I was starving, you guys, because I had not eaten shit for I don't know how many weeks. But I went there in my best dressed clothes. I had my cowboy hat on, and I know how to dance, so I was like dancing with all the people, and I just had a great time. So the guy had nothing to say about me other than the fact he didn't like me because I was from somewhere else. I looked different. And so while he was throwing a fit, the uncle who had been observing me teach these martial arts classes the entire week, he said, "I really, I'm glad you're here. Glad to know you're out of prison and everything's good." He goes, and I don't understand, what you're mad about, but I'm gonna give you a little something, because that man right there is probably one of the toughest men I've ever met in my life. Well, he's talking about me. And I think it would be a really bad mistake if you try to do anything with this guy. And as much as you feel like you can, I'm going to warn you in advance that you don't know what this man is capable of. Another thing is 300 people here, and you don't want to embarrass the family, so don't do that. And that is how I almost got clobbered at a fucking, because I would have beat his ass, but then there'd been like 15 guys on me immediately. But I'm not there for that. I'm literally just getting to town. I'm just living in a fucking cabin. I'm halfway starving to death, and I'm not trying to make enemies. I wasn't. And dude, let me tell you something. I was walking back downhill. I live out in the mountains, way up in the mountains. And you have to walk down, and I have my dog with me, who's a Doberman, and this wild ass dog comes out of nowhere, and I see it's this dude's dog. I'm like, "Yo, control your dog," and he's on the phone. Guy had been up all night long, another cowboy, and another guy in a car, and then he's like, "What?" Puts it down. You could tell he's all jacked up on something, and I was like, "Never mind." Kept walking. The guy in the car reached over into the glove box exactly when I fucking turned around. I could see him over in the glove box, and I was like, okay, I could see this part of Mexico is that dangerous part that people talk about. But I wasn't about that. I didn't care. I'm not going to be afraid of fucking people. I'm not going to be afraid of dogs. Even though it spooks me a little bit, I'm not going to sit here and say, I'm completely fearless about. No, you have to be smart if you're going to live overseas, because you basically have a target on your back all the time. And these people know that you make 30 times more money than they do. So there's that instinct to automatically just be envious of us. So that's why I say I have evaded death on more than one occasion. Somehow, some way. By being tough enough to beat the fuck out of somebody but being smart enough to keep my sword in its sheath, because it's not going to help me. These people do not give a fuck. If you attack them, you go to jail. If they attack you, they don't go to jail. The automatic, by default, person in the wrong is the foreigner, always. So that's how I did it. I mean, I managed to live to die another day almost every time. I've been so fortunate to be able to evade like so many problems. Like in Panama, for example, fake cops with guns literally taking us over to the side of the road to shake us down. My brother's talking to some girl and he's like, "Hey, you guys, come here." We're like, "What's up?" It's like, "We saw you talking to those girls." Like, "Yeah." Like, "Well, those girls are bad, so you must be bad too. Where's your driver's license?" My brother's like, "What's this all about?" He's like, "Nah, we just talked to them for 2 seconds. What's the problem?" "Well, you know what I'm saying? You came here, you're in our country, and you don't need to be talking to these girls." And I'm like, "What? These guys are crazy." That's how illogical they are. But it just so happens that being in the fire service, I happen to know all the captains and all the officers in that tourist zone of Panama. So I was like, "Really?" I was like, "So you work for Captain Reyes, Comandante Reyes, huh?" These people turned white and made it very... These other two people walked behind me. They were like, "Run!" So the minute we had a break, we were fucking gone. We literally ran from the cops into the casino because they're not going to come after us. They're fake cops. So we almost caught a fade there. So that's 3, sorry. And like I said, people will always try you. No matter what, they will always be trying you because that's just the way they're wired. They are jealous or have some need to be like you, and then they can't, so they hate you. So you're going to have to get used to being envious because you're always going to have to live somewhere, and you're going to be around people that are undesirable just like you were at one time. So keep that in mind. Also, don't be quick to judge people too quick, because a lot of people don't dress in fancy clothes. We don't wear watches. We dress down. We don't drive fancy cars. We drive practical cars. So you would never ever know if a person's wealthy or not. So don't dismiss people. And by all means, don't judge people's houses, their cars, or what they do. Because I've done all the above and I look so stupid in the end. Because I was like, I don't want to eat that barbecue because they use plastic bottles to light the charcoals. And I'm starving. And yet I'm over here judging the way they do their barbecue that they invited me to. You see what I'm saying? I'm judgy like that. Person's shitty car. They probably saved for months to buy that car, or paid, some loan shark a lot of money to buy a 1994 Sunfire. Because it's the level of poverty that you're not used to. They're not used to making hourly wages. Used to making $3 a day wages. But they are completely, they own their homes. They own their cars. They own everything. They have no debt. It's amazing. And they own new motorcycles and things like that. And they have weekend farms and, things that you and I would be like, what? How do they do that? And they only make $3 a day. Some magical way, probably because their entire family lives together. They share everything and they share expenses together. So nobody really has any expenses. If 90% of what you make is yours and you're only spending 10%, so 9 people spending 10% of their income, you see, they can have anything they want. They could have a nice SUV if they want. They have a car if they want, a pickup. Maybe they live on a farm. They could buy a farm tractor. There's all kinds of fun shit. You could buy horses. You know what I mean? I bought plenty of fucking sheep, that's for sure. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been quite a few live streams in a row, but there are things I got to get out. And we'll be live again tomorrow morning, so just stay awake or just go to bed, and then I'll see you when you wake up. I'm the Professor Yo, and I'm out again.